Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Let's talk about Kapil Vriksh, the divine tree or the tree of primordial chemistry. And as far as I understand as a child, I was made to understand the roots of Kapil Vriksh are in the universe and the trees, leaves, everything is towards the earth. As you can see in this particular picture, you have a tree which is upside down. At the same time, you can see two symbols on top. One is methane, which is carbon plus 4H, which is methane, which has got a power of 10. Then you also have oxygen, which is power of 8, which is Agni. Methane plus Agni get together in the universe to form what you can see down, carbon dioxide plus water. As I've been saying, we are going to talk about the universal consciousness as it was designed before the creation of the universe, which was Atma, maybe Xenon and Krypton as Nirankar Nirgun Brahman to start with, Sakar Sargun Brahman as such. Only people who are in tune with universal consciousness can see. But there is a beauty of 108 in those things, which is reflected very clearly in Adi Parashakti, which has got 36 electrons, 36 protons and 36 neutrons as 108. And that is what is Pentagon all about, or Akash Shakti, from which Adi Parashakti created Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva. And they became the three stages of creation of the perfect object of the universe as such I know of. Lord Brahma is the first stage of creation, a generation, G of God. And Lord Vishnu are the 10 stages of development or growth of every perfect object in the universe. I have already spoken about it. And as well Lord Shiva is concerned, 0.34419 are the 5 digits, which is the third stage of maturation to complete the process of generation, development and maturation. And Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu and Mahesh represent the divine design of nature, which I call Divyank, which is revealed for the first time to the world in 2015 only. But a sense of this was found in Vedas, Upanishads and ancient Indian scriptures, and I am trying to bring a new Mahagranth before the creation, during the creation and after that to whatever level we are. You are going to see all that from this Vijayadashmi onward, which I have been saying. Akhand Purush is a person which is ideal, and I am just saying from my own experience of that. Akhand Vidya is a knowledge which is absolutely essential. And then things go on. And as far as Lord Brahma is concerned, is the first stage of creation. I know, I have experienced as a child itself. And I also know Goddess Saraswati is the queen or the goddess of knowledge. I have been aware of it since my childhood. That is my first strength. I have experienced Lord Brahma and I have experienced Lord Goddess Saraswati since my childhood. That is my strength as far as knowledge is concerned. And that has brought me to impeccable wisdom by now. The second, as far as 10 stages of Vishnu are concerned, I think I have experienced that ever since my childhood. And I also know his consort, Lakshmi, is a part of me, because without knowledge, Lakshmi has no value. But when there is a knowledge, Lakshmi will always be there. I have seen the both within me all through. There are two concepts of knowledge and prosperity, without which existence cannot go. Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu and Saraswati and Mahalakshmi, all the four of them I have recognized, done very well ever since my childhood. I did not know any difficulty in understanding that. Maybe in my first book, Akhand, an Essence of Universal Consciousness, I talked of 22 by 21 to the power of 10 very clearly. But let me also submit with all the admission that real divine value of Lord Shiva was not at all known to me. I agree. And I recognized over a period to realize that is 0.34419 only in 2014 and 15. But I do know that was a great realization. Maybe that is the reason I have never been able to find someone who could be like Parvati to me and understand its concept, because Shiv and Parvati have to be identical. Maybe that's the reason I have put the picture of Shiv and Shakti together as one piece, and I can experience that within me. And I think having done that and realizing the beauty, I think I've been able to reveal this particular mathematical design by experience Shiv and Parvati within me itself, not separate from each other. I never looked after a woman to be a part, but I know I have respect and regard. But everybody will have to become Shiv and Shakti within, and that would complete. Having recognized that, made that picture way back in 92. And then it took me another 22 years to realize the beauty of 1992 picture in 2014, that this is Divyank. And having done that, now I am able to explain that to the rest of the world step by step and say this is the complete by and large. In the light of my own experience of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva within me, Saraswati, Mahalakshmi and Mahakali within me, Mahasaraswati within me, Mahalakshmi within me, Mahaparvati within me. Having understood all the concept, I think I am able to understand the beauty of Sri Dattatreya as well as the whole universal consciousness. Having experienced that within my body and shown, and I think I am in a position to understand, and what I have experienced is what I am trying to talk about it through my work by and large. In this background, let's start with KAPILAVRIKSHA. Vriksha is a tree. Kapil is you can call it imaginary or divine or primordial chemistry. And I learned chemistry only after Divyank alone, as clearly as possible. And this beauty we are going to see in this particular video clearly. Wow, methane and oxygen came from up, they formed carbon dioxide and water, and how with the help of water their things come down. There are many things which are written by different scriptures of Akhand Bharat, but bringing them into one sutra, Akhand Sutra, and all the gems written in a symbolic form, I think this particular thing, I am really enjoying it, and I am sure who wants to understand impeccable wisdom completely, from beginning to the end, step by step, I think it's better you start watching my videos from Vijayadashmi of 2024. Let's move on to the next day. Now, as I told you, this land of Akhand Sindhu or Akhand Bharat is where core divine design of nature has appeared for generations. This was Vishwaguru, this is Vishwaguru, this will always be Vishwaguru, because there are certain characteristics of the people who are genetically born and brought up here. They have a DNA which is very close to take them to universal consciousness, because they're pure in every way. Their food is pure, their thoughts are pure, every intention is pure to be one with universal consciousness. Why this is, I do understand, because it's surrounded by Sindhu, all the four sides. East by Mount Kailash, Mansarovar, from where Sindhu arises. It goes to the north boundary in Ladakh, then goes to the west, Saptashishu, goes in eastward, and Mahasindhu, and this is a land which has given the world divine mathematics, divine science from the very beginning, and this is one which will continue to do it. And this will remove all the problems which the world has today with Akhand Bharat or Akhand Sindhu as such, with Divyank as the divine design of consciousness. This is a land which is rising compared to everything else. That's it. Now the concept I have been saying very clearly, my mission is impeccable wisdom, and I do know the biggest problem with the world is fighting over different issues, because nobody knows impeccable wisdom. We have been given the man-made mathematical design by the Western mathematicians as well as all the mathematicians of the world. All the science research is done with the man-made mathematics, which is defective. As a result, physics, chemistry and all the science is also defective. And I have found that very clearly in the last 60 years of education, how defective are the words. and realizing that these are defects, eliminating one by one through the process of elimination. With the help of Akhand Yoga, I have come to the stage to realize Devyang, the divine design of nature, for the first time in the history of mankind from 2014-2015 only. Now, having then, in the light of Devyang, I am trying to explain how I understand what was there before creation, what was during creation, what is thereafter, what we are today, to be one with universal consciousness, create the impeccable wisdom of all the subjects, all the 64 arts, with Devyang alone, and say this is the core. Once you know the core, periphery is very, very easy. You need absolute wisdom to understand relativity. Relativity to relativity is confusing, but relativity with respect to absolute, there is no confusion at all, and that is what I have been talking for years of my sharing with the world, even from a school level itself. Now, converting that wisdom, impeccable wisdom of Devyang into mathematical design is something done. That is another process the world needs. We need a language of symbolic representation where mathematics conclusion is designed into a symbol and which has no difficulty at all in understanding. Like this particular symbol is Devyang. Outer is 22 by 21, 10 plus 5. But the kind of wisdom is there in this particular symbol. I can write it 1 page, I can write 10 pages, I can write 100 pages, I can write 1000 pages, I can even 10,000 pages. Perfect wisdom with this symbol itself and mathematical design. And that is the kind of knowledge which I am trying to understand and share with the world. We all need the same. And I am not finding fault with anyone, basically because the information given to people from the history of mankind from the beginning is not as perfect as this. And I'm sure anyone who believes me understands it. Within a course of 6 months to 1 year's time, you will be in tune with universal consciousness, and the research you will do thereafter would be impeccable for the world's harmony. And I do know my main intention is that all human beings should get together, become Lokpalan, and make the world a world peaceful place. And the wisdom which is required has to be mathematically conclusive, symbolically perfect, and scientifically acceptable without any defect at all. And that is what Akhand Vidyashram is standing for. That is what Shibhushan Sharma is trying to project. I do know it's very, very high. People are not used to it. But you will have to rise to that level if you want the world peace to be there. If you are looking for world peace, then this is the process. But if you want to have divide and rule over with the limited things and make fighting 24/7, suffer from stress and strain all the time, then I cannot help. If your intention is impeccable wisdom, perfection, then this is the subject for you. It will not mislead you, because I have come to a stage, even at this stage, I have learned how to be as perfect as when I was 21 years. If I can do it, I'm sure all of us can do it. Let's move on to the next stage. Now, having done that, let's come to the stage of divine periodic table, I call it this. And now let's start a mathematical design step by step when it comes to KAPILAVRIKSHA itself. First and foremost, I have made it very clear. There is one Nirankar, Nirgun, Brahman is only one formless, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent reality, which I can call it xenon or krypton with 108 processes. We will not go into that process as such in this particular concept. But I know 100 is very important. That is what is in Pentagon. But 1 became 3 to start with. If Nirankar, Nirgun, Brahman became Adi Prashakti as organ with 36 plus 36 to 108 is where generation starts. And Lord Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh are the 3 children produced by Adi Prashakti itself. And they represent the entire thing. And then Trinity became very, very important as far as Sanatana Dharma is concerned, or Akhand Sindhu is concerned, Akhand Bharat is concerned. And the Trinities Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are Saraswati, Mahalakshmi, Parvati. But come to the elemental level. There are 3 things which are very, very important to start the journey. Most important atoms or elements are hydrogen, carbon and oxygen. These three are the most one. Hydrogen, I call it with Aditya, a sun, the first atom on the earth which is most abundant. Carbon is the one which is responsible for biological life. And oxygen is one with the Agni or the fire element. When these combinations come together, you find something called carbohydrate itself. Carbohydrate is nothing but dehydrated carbon. Hydrogen C6H12O6 is what? Is carbohydrate, which is first biomolecule for the life itself. Start from this. Then, of course, as far as the indwelling soul is concerned, it is helium-4, which is produced in the sun, and that is the second most element atom in the world. Third things, there are three inorganic molecules which are started with, to start with. I have already spoken about water in the earlier thing as an Amrit. And Amrit has a power of 10 protons in water, 2 hydrogen and 8 protons of oxygen. Put together H2O is 10. The second thing which is very important, as I told you in this beginning itself, is the methane. And methane has got 1 carbon with 6 protons and 4 hydrogen with 4 carbon. That is also a 10 only. They also representation of 10 stages of development are there in water and methane itself. That is one part. Third thing which stands out very clearly, out of this combination of hydrogen, carbon and oxygen alone, I'm not talking about anything else. These are primordial elements, most important elements for the nature by and large. And third thing is carbon dioxide. And I will talk about this, and that is what I have put. Methane plus oxygen produces carbon dioxide and water. Now you see the whole combination is just within these 3 elements and 3 molecules. Is this surprising? No, because everything is scientifically well defined. Once we have a well defined thing, we start from the smallest particle in the world is hydrogen, is the smallest atom element, most abundant available. Second is, of course, helium. Third is oxygen. Fourth is carbon. Carbon comes after oxygen because oxygen is more important than carbon. Carbon comes only at the biological level. Oxygen comes before itself. Now let's move on to the next stage. Now, as I told you, the first greatest element is hydrogen. I call it Aditya, or sun. In the core of the sun, with 6000 degrees centigrade heat, hydrogen is converted into helium, which becomes his daughter and our mother. That's it. And it's the most abundant in the universe. It's 75% of mass is contained of hydrogen. It has got 1 proton, 1 electron. It's the most divine basic unit of nature. It can readily form covalent compounds with almost all the non-metallic elements. And most hydrogen exists in molecular form. It plays a role in acid-base balance. There are most important aspects of water. I've already explained. The last one is their repetition for you. Why water is very important. Why it is associated with Indra, who's king of gods and also represents water, as well as rain and also thunder, and with which whole thing comes down. That is hydrogen by and large. Now the second thing which I told you, within the core of the sun with 6000 degrees centigrade, hydrogen is converted into helium-4 and is the first inert matter, is second abundant in universe. It has got 2 protons, 2 neutrons or 2 electrons. And it could also be called Nirankar, Nirgun, Brahman, because people, all these divine natures, Atmas, are like Nirankar or Sakar or things like that, and these are the stable things. And I have already explained the characteristics of nature, and they can be associated only with inert, dark matter of movable gases only. I think that way is also very clear. Next, the third greatest element is oxygen. I told you is Agni, Bhuta, fire element, and its most is available there. But here I would like to make one thing very clear, which I am going to explain. We have inner planets which are very important as a grounding qualities. If you say sun is the one which is creating, the first planet of the sun is Mercury. Then you have Venus, then you have Earth, then you have Mars. These are the four: Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars are the four inner planets between sun, which is producing it, and the one which is asteroid belt, where it is broken down, which is the one which is producing what is breaking down. You have four things which are solid, where life is possible to exist. And to start with, is all the four of them had 97% carbon dioxide to start with. But out of these four, Earth is the only one which carbon dioxide was used, and we have now oxygen of 21%, which is with Devyang. Carbon dioxide has come down considerably because of plantation trees by and large. And we are going to show the role of photosynthesis to convert carbon dioxide into carbohydrates and of course water into oxygen, and the whole the process of equilibrium. That is the objective of this particular video. Now, for having done that, I think we move on to the next stage, that Agni is the fire, and without oxygen there cannot be any fire at all. I have already explained in the process. You go to school experiment, put a ball of a candle, burning candle, in water, and then put a glass, empty glass. It will burn as long there is oxygen. Very moment oxygen is consumed, the burner will distinguish by and large. And like that, the kind of scientific experiments which have been done by the world, in the light of that, conclusive mathematical, perfect mathematics, only we can understand spirituality. And my objective is talk of spiritual science, not of religion or not of sectarian divine consciousness at all. Let's move out of the man-made concepts, go to the divine design and bring world peace by and large. That is the third thing. Now, within this particular thing, hydrogen and oxygen put together water, and I have explained that water very clearly in my last video and shown it has got the power of 10, that 10 stages of development are there in water itself, and that is the most dynamic thing which brings dynamism to the life. Without water there is no life, there is nothing. That's the Amrit. That's one we can make us realize, and that's beauty. You go out and see that, and I'm not going to repeat it here. Now the fourth greatest element, as we know, is carbon, and is for organic life. If we want inorganic chemistry to go to organic chemistry and make the life available, one thing which is very important is carbon. And carbon is the one, without that life is not at all possible, and is the fourth greatest. And no wonder Lord Shiva is represented with ash on the forehead, which is nothing other than burnt carbon only. How the wood is burnt and the carbon in that form is applied to show Lord Shiva is associated with carbon alone, and that's it. Maybe that's why I have realized beauty of carbon when I realized beauty of Lord Shiva and ash and all the burning in cremations and all that what was spoken in the name of different things associated with Lord Shiva have come very close to me to one thing called carbon, the fourth greatest element, and that's it. Its percentage 18.5% in the body. That's phenomenal quantity. One in the body is 18.5%. Amazing. Now there comes the question of the next stage which I spoke in the beginning, methane. You can see the carbon in the middle. You can see 4 hydrogen on either side. The picture is very clear. The first chemical reaction of the nature is carbon plus 5 hydrogen. This comes actually, strictly speaking, even before water, because carbon is the first one and carbon is the 6th one, hydrogen is the first one, whereas oxygen is the 8th one. That is with Agni, but this is there. So this is also 10 protons, and they represent the 10 stage development, as you can see in the picture here very clearly. Right on top you can see methane. Then you can see the changes which take place, how it comes down, how it is formed, how it's converted into fire and goes on. Picture is very clear. I'm not going to details of this, but I'm just making, this was the first picture I put in the first picture, methane on the left side on top, and then oxygen, these two put together. Now come to the second question, which was produced with methane plus oxygen, is carbon dioxide plus water. You can see in the picture right on top, methane with 1 carbon and 4 hydrogens and 2 molecules of oxygen. Again, put together, they take a reaction to form carbon dioxide, CO2 plus 2 molecules of water. But here I want to make one thing very clearly, that it is water which gives oxygen, it is oxygen which gives water, and it's a carbon which gives carbon dioxide, is also the one which gives carbohydrates. So methane, carbon dioxide and carbohydrate, as far as the organic thing is concerned, it is from that carbohydrate. But as far as the water is concerned, it is associated only with oxygen and thing. We are going to see the beauty in different form, so you can understand the wisdom when I'm talking about highest level is the one which was designed by me. I'm not talking about the man-made design. This kind of information is not available, but you can never find fault with it. Now the first divine combination is methane plus 2 oxygen form carbon dioxide is very clear. What is here with respect to Divyank is more important. Methane is set 10, water is 10. But when it comes to the carbon dioxide, it is 22. Amazing. The first concept of Divyank is 22 and divided by 21 to the power of 10. Now you're seeing very clearly. And how this 22 is, carbon has got 6 protons and 2 of oxygen is equivalent to 16. Together they are 22. Is it surprising? Or Divyank was written there in this form itself. I'm not talking about Divyank which I have revealed later. Not I'm talking about the co-creation of this. But very carbon dioxide still got 22. Amazing. And then at this juncture I'm making another statement. As on today, it is known very well, Mercury, Venus and Mars are the planets which contain 97% carbon dioxide in their atmosphere even today. Earth is the only one which does not contain carbon dioxide. It's replaced by oxygen for biological life. And my understanding is, to start with, before biology actually started, before Indra brought water down and this concept started, I'm sure like other 3 inner planets, Earth also had 97% carbon dioxide to start with. And that's a process which changed into oxygen by plant photosynthesis only. I'm going to show that also the process as we move on. We need the kind of wisdom with the nature designed it, the way it happened from the beginning itself. I'm not talking about man-made concepts. I'm going back to the nature, being in tune with nature and then seeing things step by step. Now I'm showing the picture of these 4 planets on top. You can see that Mercury, Venus and Mars have got a yellow tinge or orange tinge, whereas Earth has got a blue tinge. And basically the difference is those 3 still have carbon dioxide 97%, but Earth does not have that. So Earth does not have carbon dioxide as the color is changed into blue color. Water is blue color, atmosphere is blue color, and the picture is also blue in the process. And that is the difference. Now you see another thing on the Earth very clearly is the green color. And that is nothing but yellow plus blue put together becomes green. Same, you can call it orange plus blue will give you this particular green color. And that is it. Now carbon dioxide from Earth was replaced to oxygen through photosynthesis only, not anything else. And in photosynthesis, it is the sun which is important. And the biological started life only on Earth, came from Akash down to this, maybe through descent of Shakti and also Akash Ganga and things like that. And we are going to see how things were understood by Indians Akhand Bhartis, and moved on to that. Now, Earth contains nitrogen content is 78%. Now you see, what was carbon dioxide to start with is converted into nitrogen now. I can tell you one thing. Transformation of carbon into nitrogen is nothing but hydrogenization of carbon itself. Carbon plus hydrogen together became nitrogen. That becomes the next product for biological life when it comes to the protein part. When it comes to carbohydrate, it's carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Lipid, it's carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. But when it comes to the protein, which is a building block, nitrogen is required. Now, nitrogen is required in abundance. It was produced by adding hydrogen to carbon and producing it. This is also the scientific knowledge, and this is what ancient did it. What was 6 to start with, by putting one more together, became 7. That's why number 7 is very, very occult. I have shown the beauty of 7, and combination of 7 with 6. 1 divided by 7 is 0.142857, only 6 digits. But the combination is phenomenal. And that is the divine mathematics. That is the mathematics we should know. Not man-made concepts of algebra, geometry and other things with man-made design, which is highly confusing. Even Nobel laureate get Nobel Prize. But subsequent people come and prove that it was defective. We want something which can never be found to be defective. And that is divine mathematics, Divyank I am talking about. In the mathematics designed by Divyank, the nature I am talking about. Now you see how the nitrogen was formed around the earth by adding hydrogen and carbon together. Not anything else. That's beauty. Now you can see that is beauty of inner consciousness. That is the kind of knowledge which the world should have it if we want to understand Divyank by and large. Let's go on to the next stage. Then came the whole thing, descent of elements from the universal consciousness onto the earth. As I told you, Indra is the king of God. He is of water and rain. All these reactions have taken place on the earth. Now, methane plus oxygen put together form carbon dioxide and water. With this water, again it came down to earth, and the mountains flowed down to primordial ocean, where life started by and large. So with thunder, lightning, rain, all the essential elements of all the atoms, elements, molecules, compounds which are found in the periodic table came from up down to earth. They are finally stored in the ocean as such, and churning of ocean and bringing the universal consciousness back is another amazing concept of Akhand Bharat. The stories which are connected with churning of ocean, a Sagar Manthan, a Samundar Manthan, is amazing to this thing. It's full of so much of spiritual science wisdom which the greatest of the mathematicians of the world have not been understood. And I'm going to explain that one by one, why churning of ocean was very important. I did explain that in my last video on water itself. That Amrit was the first one which was taken, is a part of churning of ocean, or Sagar Manthan or Samudra Manthan. And here we are going to talk about something. Let us see how things go. Now I am coming to the Sagar Manthan, the story of churning of primordial ocean. Long back, by that time the gods and asuras and suras were already created, and they wanted to work together for the first time for Amrit alone. That's very true. Their objective was Amrit so that they can be immortal, and for that they started churning the ocean. They put snake Vasuki around Mount Meru or Muradanda and started churning the planet. And during thing, many essential objects came from earth, and 14 of them have been described very clearly, but I know everything has come from ocean only. I would call all 33 crore devata which came from up to earth, which we can find within our physical body, are 33 crore atoms, elements, molecules, cells, etc. are actually came from churning of ocean, not 14 alone. 14 have a significant. Those rishis felt this was very, very important, and that's it. If water was the first thing which in my opinion stands out, second thing is what in this particular, which I am talking about, Kapilavriksha, I'm not talking of anything else. KAPILAVRIKSHA is one which came from top and came to the earth, and now that through the tree, the transformation of water into oxygen and carbon dioxide into carbohydrate, and transforming the carbon dioxide into 21 this and nitrogen is a beautiful objective in this particular conversation, when vriksha, which had roots on top, became roots on earth and then gave oxygen to the world and transformed carbon dioxide into oxygen plus nitrogen by hydrogenation of carbon itself. That is the kind of knowledge which the world needs it. No confusion whatsoever, where science, which is given sectarian, spirituality, now bring them together as one and make sure that there is no difference at all in our understanding. Let's move on to the next stage. Now, this is the particular stage. As you have seen the KAPILAVRIKSHA tree right at the center, right in the middle of right side. But I have put a picture and down. To start with, it was up, down. Later, it's become down, up in the process of forming oxygen on Earth. So this is the picture, and those pictures we are going to talk about it one by one as we proceed. We have spoken about one, which is water, which is next to this particular thing. Next we are going to talk about KAPILAVRIKSHA, and next I would be talking about Kamadhenu. And I say right now that Kamadhenu is nothing but methane alone. We will talk much more detail about methane's process and Kamadhenu and how its role is there to provide everything for the universal consciousness. Methane we are bringing back to again as a third stage of evolution. Now come to the photosynthesis. As we know, in this particular picture I have changed the tree now. You can see sun on top and earth on down. In between you see the trees are coming. Trees are planted. In this particular picture of earth, it's different from what you have shown in the 4 planets. There you don't see green, but here you are seeing green. That means the blue color is converted into green. That is yellow plus blue. That's it. Now this is important first stage on the earth. If the down came down, the first stage is atom, element, molecules and compounds is one part. The second stage of development was plantation or plants only, and that is green in biology. I'm sure now you understand. Now we are going to understand photosynthesis. Photo is the light that is from the sun. Is very important. Without the sun, there cannot be photosynthesis. There cannot be life. Carbon dioxide could not be converted into this had there not been an organism, a plant kingdom coming to play a role to convert carbon dioxide into carbohydrate and water into oxygen and replace the whole thing from 97% carbon dioxide to 21% oxygen and 78% nitrogen for the next process of generation of proteins or amino acids. That is the science which we need for the world to understand. And I want every child, every student to have this particular knowledge to know what is impeccable wisdom, which is totally interconnected without any difficulty at all. Now the consider generation of biochemistry. Science of biochemistry has evolved from atom, element, molecule, and organic compounds, and this all takes place in the plant. The first is a mineral kingdom, second is a plant kingdom, and only then animal kingdom comes to play a role as a third part, not as the first and second. First is only mineral kingdom, second is plant kingdom, then comes to the animal kingdom as it is produced. So difference between cells of the plants and cells of the animal kingdom is little different. You're going to see a glimpse of it in this particular video also, how things change, how the equilibrium and atmosphere of earth is maintained by minerals, plants and animal cells, how they bring the equilibrium on the earth. Now we are moving one by one to the humanity itself as a third organism, and whose cells are going to show the equilibrium by and large, and that is the kind of knowledge which we need. I want every child, every student, every chemist, every research scholar, every author, every mathematician to know in the world. Now there comes the question of one tree which stands out in my mind is the banyan tree. It's a tree of India. You can see the structure on the left side, and also this is structure in the human body's aura alone. And this is the only tree which can produce oxygen 24 hours a day. And no wonder this is Ficus religiosa, or banyan or peepal tree, is very important in India. And most of the people like to be around oxygen all the time because that is required for the brain. Brain needs glucose, oxygen, sodium and chloride and water, not anything else. So oxygen is the one which is important. So this particular picture belongs to India. That's the one which gives you 24 hours, and it is considered holy and native of India. And no wonder this tree itself is given spiritual signs to the world, because this is a tree of India, not of the world. It grows here in abundance anywhere and everywhere. And that's it. And it is also the structure of Idas, Pingala, Nadis and other things you can see in the picture, you can see within the body, is so identical. But this is a tree which converted carbon dioxide into oxygen to start with. It continues to do 24 hours a day. Next, that photosynthesis, I like to explain one thing very clearly. There are different aspects of photosynthesis. You have 7 colors. You have red on one side and violet on the other side, and you have Vivia colors. Violet, blue, and of course green, orange, yellow, red by and large. But there are two sides of two spectrums. You can see the pictures very clearly. You have a peak on the right side and the peak on the left side. That means oxygen is more produced by the chlorophyll when there is ultraviolet rays in the morning. So when you get the sunrise, you have ultraviolet rays, and that is what we call Brahmani Gayatri Mantra 6 a.m. Then afternoon is not, you see there is no oxygen is produced as such in abundance. But by the time you go to evening, you have infrared rays at 6 p.m. and you talk over Rudrani Gayatri at that given moment, oxygen is more. And if you expose these colors to plants, and you will find more oxygen at these two junctures, not in every juncture. And that is beautiful science. And I am thankful to scientists, by and large, the kind of knowledge they have given it to us is phenomenal. But we need to bring divine mathematics and science, those concepts which are independent of mathematical design. This one is not done with the algebra, geometry, etc. They are observations of nature. Now the observations of nature and divine, we can understand the beauty much more clearly. I am sure now you have understood that oxygen is produced from water. Now I am making it very clear. It is water which gives you oxygen, and is carbon dioxide which gives you carbohydrate. That's it. So methane to carbohydrate to carbon dioxide is one part. Water to oxygen, oxygen to water is a second combination which is very distinct. We should have that kind of knowledge, not a confusing knowledge by and large. Okay. Now in this particular picture, as I told you, Brahmani is the morning 6 a.m. when you look towards east, there is ultraviolet rays. You pray and give water again. When you do Brahmani, you give water to the sun, and you get a lot of oxygen there from the water itself. But afternoon, north, you don't get it. But evening, when you do that, infrared rays can produce more oxygen than you do in the daytime. That's the beauty why Gayatri Mantra has to be given as a Brahmani to creation in the beginning, ultraviolet. Vaishnavi is the 10th stage of development, and Rudra is maturation at the last stage of infrared. Is that symbolic, spiritual science? Or is it just a mythology? No, it's a spiritual science. This has given me the knowledge of the highest order which I am talking about. And this was the structure which I made in 1995 itself. And how it has gone to the next stage is amazing. Now next comes the question of this. Now there are about 10 different plants which give oxygen at night. And my recommendation of this particular aloe vera, by and large, you can see on the left side bottom, and other trees, because aloe is one of the easiest things to develop in any home. You develop in your balcony at the home, develop it. It's going to give you oxygen during the night time as such. And these are different planes which I'm talking about. And last bit I have already put at aloe vera. That is what is important in bringing oxygen at home. And more oxygen you at home, you are more comfortable, you are going to be free. And whole objective of pranayama is to take more oxygen for the brain activity and super consciousness. That's it. Now come to the question of photosynthesis as such I know of in the cells of the plant king. This is plant cell. I am not talking about animal cells. You can see on the left side on top, the light is falling on the light reaction. And on top of that you can see water. Now water is coming, light is coming into light reaction, and you can see oxygen is produced with that. That is the science I am talking about. That is something which need to reinforce in the child's mind. Oxygen is from water alone, not from carbon dioxide. Although carbon dioxide also got water, but it is H2O which gives you oxygen. Then other things which go to the chloroplast to produce ATP, NADP, NADPH, ADP, etc. They take it to the Calvin cycle where sugar is produced in the process from carbon dioxide. You can see on top, carbon dioxide on top, Calvin cycle, and the sugar is produced. That is the second stage of development for making biomolecules for consumption of the human being, starting with glucose and fructose itself. There's a 6 carbon, H12, and O6 is glucose as well as fructose. And it's beautiful by and large. Now you understand how science is helping me to understand nature much better. So I'm grateful to the scientists of the world when these, through observation, the scientific research they have done, but this is not divine mathematics as such. They are observations and explained the way things happen. Even that is beautiful by and large. But now I am trying to bring mathematics into this and say water is 10, so is methane 10, but carbon dioxide is 22, and all the both of them are related with Deviyank alone. That's it. Now taking it to the next stage is the Calvin cycle I am talking about. 3 molecules of carbon dioxide get together and then go to the first stage of formation of carbon fixation, then carbon reduction, then sugar is formed in the process and cycle goes on. And I am not going to detail, you can read it leisurely, which is available in many things. And about the production of energy, let's not go into it. It is only to prove carbon dioxide leading to sugar 1. On top 3 molecules of carbon dioxide, and down you can see sugar by and large. That's it. Now come to the question of synthesis of glucose in plant kingdom. That's photosynthesis. Now on the plant, same vriksha has got the way we see trees on that. You can see 6 carbon dioxide molecules plus 6 water molecules put together on the left side you can see. Then there is photosynthesis, sun, and then it produces glucose, C16H12O3 plus 6 molecules of oxygen. 6 molecules of water produce 6 molecules of oxygen, and 6 molecules of carbon dioxide with hydrogen from water come to produce glucose. This is a beautiful combination. And the photosynthesis, 7 stages of photosynthesis I have already explained. 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 of water I have put it, and how they go through to produce different stages. You can read it leisurely altogether because this detailed knowledge you can see later. Now the question, another thing which is happening in human cells. Now I have come to from plant cell to the human cells. In the human cells we use glucose. What is important is glucose is converted to glucose 6-phosphate as the second step, then fructose 6-phosphate, then fructose 1,6,5-phosphate, and then go through the process of forming 3 carbon triose proteins in the intermediate, and then 3 carbon acids, pyruvic acid and lactic acid. Pyruvic acid is produced when oxygen is there, and lactic acid produced when no oxygen is there. Again, important of oxygen, no oxygen plays a role. If it's pyruvic acid, it has to be in presence of that. That means 61.8% of oxygen is there. After that, it's lactic acid. But all the 3 are 3 carbon acids only. C3H2O3. That's the combination. And this is the most beautiful thing you can see, as you can see the picture under glucose, which is a human cell. And you have things which take place. How the conversion takes place within the body is an amazing experience for the entire world to see how beautiful is the divine chemistry. And now you can see KAPILAVRIKSHA's whole beautiful part and how it's happening within the physical body. Now to come to the next question. Now I want to synthesize in something for equilibrium of the atmosphere by and large. As I told you, to start with, in the first picture you have seen methane plus oxygen to produce carbon dioxide plus water is something which I started with. Now the second stage of photosynthesis, you can see the carbon dioxide and water, which was the second layer. With the photosynthesis goes further to produce glucose plus oxygen and replace the carbon dioxide by oxygen by that, and also hydration of carbon into protein to lead to the next stage of amino acid production or protein acid, which are building blocks for further development of the tissues. That is animal kingdom. Now inside the human cell, the cell respiration is glucose plus oxygen are put together, they produce energy for the body, ATP, and produce carbon dioxide and water in the process. Same glucose plus oxygen get together to produce energy for the physical body, but at the same time produce carbon dioxide and water and give it to the world by and large. You can see the picture in the last one. Now you understand, initially methane plus oxygen produce carbon dioxide plus water. Now the same thing is produced in the human cells also, same thing. From carbohydrate to glucose to carbon dioxide and water. In the universe it was methane plus oxygen, but in the human body is from glucose and oxygen to carbon dioxide. So this presence of carbon dioxide and water is maintained, as equilibrium is there for further formation of carbohydrates, oxygen, and the process of making human life much more comfortable to Satchit Anand one by one. And that is the real beauty of divine chemistry. So KAPILAVRIKSHA importance of the initially roots in the earth, heaven, to bring methane plus oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and this, and bringing down with the help of Indra to the earth and into the sea, and from seaward universal organism to plant kingdom to produce photosynthesis, then animal kingdom. Now they see the sequence which is coming. Don't you think this kind of knowledge to any child in the beginning itself, during 7 years we give that kind of knowledge and let them understand the concept which is perfect in nature, and that kind of knowledge given to the 7 years without any doubt in their mind, if that is reinforced in 7 years, and I can tell you the child will be a genius, because he'll have nothing to break away with. And the most difficult thing is breaking the difficult wrong knowledge from the brain. Memory is most difficult because once it reinforced, eliminating and reinforcing, unlearning and relearning is very, very difficult. And that is the reason what I have been saying, I am very lucky that 7 years nothing was given to me by anyone. I learned the whole wisdom, seeing the whole entire world by and large with the help of my Antaratma only. My teacher was that, and that is exactly what I have been saying. Same thing I see in Jadu Krishnamurti, and same thing I see in Ramanujam again. Ramanujam, before he went to America, the UK to study further, he could give the kind of answers which were from Atma, and he has made it very, very clear. All the knowledge was Saraswati, or whatever the goddess is talking about, gave it to her on the tongue. She gave it to him on the tongue, and he knew the answers completely. Then to work it out, which he could not do in India because of the lack of knowledge of the people, and he went to UK. What he did, let me not get into details of it. But he was listening to that from Antaratma only. When I talk of goddess in any form, it is Saraswati, and I have seen that done in my life from Saraswati, and he was also from Saraswati only I am talking about. It's a knowledge which was given by Saraswati before he went on to the rest of the part. That's part which I am making it very clear. Having understood that, And having understood this, and I can tell you, every child when starts building after that school after 7 years, with that kind of knowledge which I am giving, they'll have nothing to be deficient. And they will be giving impeccable wisdom from the very beginning. They can start research again in divine mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, and other subjects. And the world will have the impeccable wisdom without any difficulty whatsoever. There's nothing to divide. Today's knowledge is very deficient. Data is deficient. Information is deficient. Knowledge is deficient. We haven't come to the impeccable wisdom which Divyank is talking about. And that is the reason I have decided I'm going to do it. Leave it to the world. Whenever they come, let them do it. That's it. So this is equilibrium which I'm talking about. Now come to the question of the last stage. I'm not going to go into details of it, but everything finally sums up to this. I think it's enough for the day. Thank you very much. I think it was lovely sharing a new way of looking at divine chemistry from mineral kingdom to plant kingdom to animal kingdom, how the transformation of carbon dioxide in the earth convert into oxygen, and how carbon was converted into nitrogen, how we are going to go further stages. I think this is enough for the day. I think everybody will have to see these eras in sequence only to understand the wisdom by and large. My recommendation is start from the one which I call Akhand Purush to Akhand Vidya, to before creation, during creation, and thereafter, one by one, you have a new Mahagranth with a kind of impeccable wisdom which is worth millions and millions and trillions of dollars around the world. No one can give you this kind of wisdom anywhere in the world for any price on the earth. And I'm glad that I got it free. I'm giving it free for the love of seeing the unity of the universal consciousness with peace. And my objective is just love it, share it. Anyway, thank you very much.